That's pretty exciting that you can look at it from a different perspective. And then I think generosity flows in there as well. This concept of hiring from within or making sure that your team is trained and ready to move up, to step in and get on the field when that event happens. I mean, that's...
Well, and in talking about generosity in this particular environment, for people that are at the top of organizations that spend any reasonable amount of time playing out the chess game. You know, I learned how to play chess at a very, very young age. Of course, I grew up over in England at a time when there was no technology to occupy your time.
So it was I'm very familiar with that time.
A lot of puzzles, a lot of board games. My father taught me chess at a very young age, and what stayed with me, because I don't play it a lot anymore, but what stayed with me is the whole idea that the best thing you can do is be able to anticipate things 4 and 5 moves down the road. You know, the strategic look.
The farther you can see.
Right. And if you look at your whole team and say, wow, I've got a great team here, you know, I mean, everybody thinks about this. Gee, how long am I going to be able to hold them? At what point is a competitor going to try to poach one of my best people? Or is something tragic going to happen that forces them to leave the role and go do something else because their family needs them? In any of those kinds of situations, you've got to anticipate that that's probably going to happen. Sure.
Yeah.
So when it does, what can I do? What can I put in place today and start working on today to mitigate that problem and maybe turn it into a real opportunity for someone else in the organization?
Yeah, I think you're planning and strategy several moves in advance. All right, so the other side of this, the other potential is that I got a gap, somebody left, something changed, and I really don't have the right resource, and I got to bring somebody else in from the outside. This happens.
Yes.
Right? Not everybody makes a good hiring decision.
That's right.
So if we don't make a good hiring decision, and I encourage everybody to do all the work they can possibly do because it's so expensive and painful. But let's just say that we don't. I don't. Right? How do I figure that out early? How do I figure that out fast? You know, the mismatch fast.
I'm actually working with this in 2 different companies right now, and they brought on a senior individual who is very much needed. It wasn't like a position you could say, oh gee, we don't need that. It was needed. And they brought on individuals that were really, really well heeled in their function. They had a lot of good experience. They'd worked for really good companies prior. They knew the role. What they didn't anticipate was the attitude they were going to bring with them.
Oh, they brought their own culture.
Right.
They brought their own baggage.
Right. And in some cases, you know, it's a prior culture. In some cases, it's this feeling of elitism. You know, I'm coming in here to fix you people. You know, in some cases, it's just bad behavior that nobody ever called out before, and it just followed them into their new role. And so, typically, what happens, and I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me, in hindsight, I should have done something faster. But typically the whole idea is, well, let's not rock the boat. Let's just let it play out, and maybe they'll get in the groove of who we are and how we operate. All right? Never a good move.
Well, I think you got to follow the model. It's hire slow and fire fast. So as soon as you find somebody,
even before you get to that firing process, the one key leading indicator you can get is the other people in your organization that have to interface with this person. 9 times out of 10, if you've made a bad hiring decision, they're going to see it first. And many times, if you have good relationships with these folks, or they feel the culture is an open environment where you can express things that you see that you don't feel are right, don't do the disservice of not listening to them.